This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Good evening, one and all. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and around the world on the Starcom Radio Network. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. My email address is on-air at X-Zone Radio TV. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And, of course, our main website where you can listen to the X-Zone 724-365 is www.xzoneradiotv.com. X-Zone Nation, my first guest tonight is GWILDA WIYAKA, and she is considered by many people to be today's foremost expert on the modern-day application of ancient shamanic principles. She is the founder and director of the Path Home Shamanic Art School, a Colorado State certified occupational school of the shamanic arts, for which she has written the entire curriculum. GWILDA is also a preceptor for the University of Colorado School of Medicine, where she provides instructions to medical doctors on the modern interface between shamanism and allopathic medicine. Joining me now from beautiful Colorado is GWILDA WIYAKA. And GWILDA, welcome back to the X-Zone.
Thanks for having me, Rob. It's so nice to hear your voice.
Hey, nice talking to you too, my friend. You've got a major event coming up this fall, and I'd love for you to share it with the worldwide audience of the X-Zone.
Okay, yeah. This in October, we're launching the new format of the certification program, the Shamanic Practitioner Certification Program through the school. And it's being offered in 6 blocks, and the first block is going to be in October, and registration deadline for that one is in September. So I'm really excited about the new format because it's set up so people can come from all over the world, stay a week, and take a week's block worth of classes.
How would you define shamanism to someone who's never heard the phrase before, if that's possible?
Well, actually, I've had to work on that over the years because, we viewed shamanism from the outside, and shamanism, the word even, is an anthropological name for it, and it was always viewed from the outside, and so it was viewed as a mystical, magical, superstitious, or religious type of practice. But actually, after studying it for over 40 years, I've come to realize that it's really an organized set of rituals designed to help the practitioner focus their natural ability to manage matter at the quantum level. And that's pretty amazing to be able to consciously work with matter, just where it's with energy, just where it's about to become matter, and affect a change, or read what's going on there, or do a healing at that level, so it can trickle on down to our physical bodies.
So, would you say that shamanism is very ancient in its roots?
Yes, it is. It's been tracked back 40 or 50,000 years. Like even the ancient, like the Mayan calendar, the ancient Mayans, the ones that brought the calendar through were both mathematician and shaman. So, it's been around forever, and if you follow any indigenous roots, any of our nationalities, back far enough, including our Irish heritage, I'll have you know, you're going to find a shamanic-based society.
So tell me, why do you think shamanism is making a comeback in today's scientific high-tech age?
Well, it's real interesting because there's a lot of things coming together. One is simple as where we are in the galaxy. We're coming into a time and a space. It's much higher frequency. Things are moving much quicker. We see the internet bringing information much quicker. Mm-hmm. We see people becoming more educated, and we also see our normal modalities are starting to fail us. People are getting sicker. People aren't happy even though they think they have everything they want. And there's a missing component in our lives. And shamanism has almost been eradicated off the planet because the first thing that a conquering nation would do is go in and take out all the shaman because they empower the individual. And that's not what you want if you're trying to take over a society. But basically, there's 4 levels to everything, not just physical people, but everything. The physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And the spiritual component is the quantum level component where the push-pull in our lives operates. Now, being able to read what's coming up to find your sweet spot in it is a shamanic skill, but also correcting what we are carrying at that level that's preventing us from manifesting what we want is another shamanic skill. And people are starting to get it, that, the power of thought, the power of intention, the manifestation, this is our birthright. And shamanism holds the key to all of those things.
I guess it's the old saying, I think, therefore I am.
Yes.
Tell me, GWILDA, what was it in your life that put you on the path to shamanism? Is this something that you have brought with you through many lifetimes? Were you a shaman in the past?
Well, I don't know if I personally was a shaman in the past. I don't do a whole bunch of past life regression. I've got plenty to work with right here, although sometimes my work will take me there for other people. Mm-hmm. But I really feel that there's four main things that creates the shamanic skill. One is genetic predisposition. One is a traumatic childhood. One is a closed head injury. And one is a near-death experience. And I've had all 4 of those. So I think I was kind of set up in that way. But when I came in the world, I was born into a situation that was very volatile, a lot of alcohol in my family, a lot of abusive people. And I found that I really had to, as a child, just hone my skill to feel what was going on around me to stay safe. See who's going to pop off and give them wide berth kind of thing. And I inadvertently set that skill. Not only did I refine it, but I set it on default. And what that did was I couldn't turn it off. And by the time I was in my 20s, I was failing because I was feeling everything everybody else felt. Couldn't tell what was mine and what wasn't. My adrenals were frying. I was kind of in dire straits. And that's actually when I met my first teacher, who was a Lakota elder. And he started training me, and that's how I got into it. The
Lakotas, they're very spiritual people.
They're amazing. They believe they come from the stars, and I believe they do too.
If they come from the stars, do we come from the stars?
I'm thinking.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. Now, why did you certify your shaman school?
Well, that was an interesting progression. I've been teaching shamanism for a long time, over 20 years. The school has been certified for 11, and it's absolutely one of a kind. There's no other state-certified occupational school of the shamanic arts, to my knowledge, unless there's a new one come up lately. It's not an easy process, so it would surprise me. But I've been teaching shamanism in the state for quite some time when I developed this class called Shamanism for Practitioners of the Healing Arts. Very powerful course. And I was at looking for a facility because I had quite a large number of students wanting to, so I was going to have to upsize the classroom I was using, and I was looking at a massage school to rent a larger room. And the lady there said, are you certified? And I said, no. And she says, well, if you're going to teach anybody anything in this state that they can use as a profession or in an existing profession, you have to be a Colorado State occupational school. Ooh. And I said, oh, I don't think so. This stuff is spiritual. Who do I contact? Well, one thing led to the other. I contacted the state, and sure enough, you have to be certified. So I went through this amazing process to get the certification in place.
So what does the certification mean for your students?
That's what's really nice. People avoid the red tape and this and that and the next thing, but really, your occupational schools, the Division of Private Occupational Schools here in the state, is really focused on protecting the student. So all of my classes are certified with the state. I have syllabuses for all of them. I have to hold absolute consistency within those classes. My tuition is bonded, so
right.
It's a bonded tuition. They have recourse. They have ways of filing complaints if things aren't going right for them. They know that every one of my teachers has been certified by me, and I have been certified by the state, that we show these credentials that we're absolutely qualified to teach this level of the practice. So it's really, like I said, the whole thing is really mostly there to protect the student.
So what all do you teach in your Path Home Shamanic Arts School?
Well, that's what's really fun. We think of shamanic arts as, waving sage around, beating a drum, and doing incantations. Mm-hmm. But there's so many areas that shamanism actually interfaces with and covers, because it deals with the energetic aspect of all things. So, of course, my main claim to fame is certifying shamanic practitioners. And that's 291 contact hours. It used to be a 2-year course, and now I've divided it into 6 blocks of study where people can come and study for a week and then go back and do the homework and have their mentorship on email and everything. And that way people can come from wherever and start working on the program. So certifying shamanic practitioners. I also certify shamanic teachers. I certify what I call keepers of the circle, and that's, in other words, individuals that are interested in holding shamanic circles for people to do drumming circle, to just, mutual support and that sort of thing. And then I also have a certification program for drum circle stewardship. In other words, holding a drum circle in a good way and holding the energy for people. People love to drum anymore, and it's a lovely way to come together in community and set sacred space and set your intent and empower it with the power of the group.
Drumming is found all around the world, so there must be something very sacred about it, that bonds people together, that bonds their spirituality and their humanities.
It's amazing. There's been studies, because I work with so many doctors and everything, there's a lot of medical studies that happen around me. And this one study was so fun. They did it on one of my drumming circles, and they came in and they took the heart rates of all the people there, right? And they were all beating at their own rhythm. Within 10 minutes of drumming, we stopped, and everybody's heart was in sync except for one person, and they were on a pacemaker.
Wow.
That's how it aligns people.
So how do we what's the physiology behind that?
Well, I'm not sure what the physiology is behind that, but I know the drums attune. If they're a natural fiber drum, they even tune themselves to each other.
Wow.
So they might all be at a different pitch when you start, but pretty soon they're all in harmony, if not the same, same pitch or in harmony with the main note, whatever that happens to be. And I know that there's what propels the intention in the world is electromagnetic waves, and those can travel across empty space. They don't need a medium to propagate, but they need movement to start it. And then there's mechanical waves, which need a medium to propagate through, but create that movement. And so the pounding on the drum starts the mechanical waves, which initiates the electromagnetic waves, which initiates the alignment and the ability to journey or to go into a shamanic state of consciousness where you can get information from the quantum level.
Exonation, my guest this hour, the first hour for tonight, which is Tuesday, June the 2nd, 2015, is WIYAKA, and her website is, let's do the school at www.findyourpathhome.com, and if you'd like to see what is entailed in the shamanic courses that GWILDA is going to be giving later on this year, go there, look at them. All the information that you'll ever need is right there. As GWILDA has said, she is state certified. And once again, the website is findyourpathhome.com. GWILDA, how can we use, or what could shamanism be used for in the 21st century?
The easier question would be, what can't it be used for?
All right, let me ask you this. What can't shamanism be used for in the 21st century?
You're too fun. Actually, there is a shamanic aspect to everything, and so I use shamanism when I'm doing medical and intuitive. That's a shamanic skill, and I have been documented by MRIs and CAT scans to the 98th percentile. So, medical intuitive is one of them. I can use it when I'm doing search and rescue. I can track people with it. I can heal people that have come out of balance with themselves because of trauma. PTSD is very treatable through shamanism. You can do animal communication. You can speak with the dead. You can go into past life regression. It just goes on and on and on and on. And I think, the early classes, I can teach people to do divination, to get information about what's happening at the quantum level in order to choose their place within that to have the best outcome for their lives based on their intention.
How do you use it in search and rescue? That piques my interest.
Isn't that fun? Yeah. This was years ago. I'm too old to be doing it now. But I had black labs, and I did search and rescue. In fact, there was this huge flood up at Big Thompson Canyon here in Colorado in the 70s, and I was airlifted in to help with that. But basically, how I would work with my dogs is, one, I do animal communication, but two, I would drop in and go into a shamanic trance, and then I would turn and divine until I found the direction that the person was in, or had left in, or had gone in. And so I'd walk in that direction until my dogs caught the scent, and then it was a done deal.
That's simple. My
That's
goodness.
Simple. Yeah, and also witch wells with it. That's a shamanic skill, finding water. In this area, water witches are still in the phone book. I mean, people use a water witch. They're more accurate than your geologist to find water.
Well, what's the difference between a water witch and a dowser?
None. A water witch is a water dowser. But you can also douse for gold. You can douse. One wonderful thing you can use dowsing for is seeing which medication is going to work for you, and which herb and which supplement and that sort of thing. You can use it for dowsing for that.
Isn't the word water witch an oxymoron? Because when you think of the Wizard of Oz, what happened when the witch had water poured on her?
Well, I tell you, in the area, I get tired of being called GWILDA the Water Witch. That's a fact.
Goodness. I can just
see a bunch of builders around here that tease me.
I can just see you going down to the local store saying, "Hey, see that lady over there? That redhead? Yeah, she's a water witch. Her name's GWILDA. GWILDA the Water Witch." Now, I'm sure that whoever calls you GWILDA the Water Witch is saying it with a lot of love and affection, because I've had the opportunity of talking to you many times, and you're a real cool lady.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we do have fun with it.
So the testing that you did, as a medical intuitive, the CAT scan and the MRI, tell me about that, because this is really neat when science proves something that the majority of the world look at it and say, "Woo, fringe."
It is, and when I was sitting before I just got my school recertified. You have to recertify every 3 years. It's a huge process. And then you sit before this huge board of highly intelligent and very educated, authorities. And boy, did they ever question me a lot. And they were, they wanted to know about this stuff too. And it was really fun to see it starting to come into its own. It was making sense to these people, because it is starting to merge with science, with quantum physics. And, I'm able to describe that. And so how it all started with the MRIs and the CAT scans, to get back to your question, was I was working out of a doctor's office, and he used me a lot for medical intuitive. And so he called me in one time to his office. He says, "Hey, you got a minute? I've got a gentleman here. I'd like to have you check him out. There's something going on with his lungs." So I came in and I took a look at it, took a look at his lungs like I do shamanically. And he says, "So what do you see?" I said, "Well, the left one looks clear, but on the bottom right-hand corner of the right one," because I don't know my physiology that well, I just have to draw it out for him. I said, "I see this kind of a patch that doesn't look like the rest." And so he says, "So what's the texture of the patch?" I said, "Well, if it were on the outside of the body, I'd say it looks red and swollen and inflamed." He says, "Is there anything else?" I said, "Yeah, there's a lot of mucus around it." He said, "What did it look like 6 weeks ago?" I said, "Smaller." He says, "If nothing happens, what's it look like 6 weeks from now?" I said, "Larger and more inflamed and more mucus, and pools starting to form in that bottom of that lung." Then he puts a pill in my hand. He says, "What happens if we treat with this?" And I said, "Nothing, same outcome." He puts a different pill in my hand. He says, "What happens if we treat with this?" And I said, "It starts to shrink and goes away." So then they start laughing at me, and I'm going, why are you laughing? I mean, you know, I thought this doctor was really kind of getting what I do, and
Sure.
I didn't think he was going to ridicule me, you know. Well, they're both MDs, and they had an MRI and a CAT scan of the lung, and I described it absolutely in detail. And the first pill he handed me was a placebo, and the second pill he handed me was an antibiotic that's known to treat the lung infection the gentleman had.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
That truly is.
Just amazing. I mean, it surprises me. You know, it surprises me. I never cease to amaze, you know, because you tend to doubt yourself. The problem we're having right now, Rob, though, is because shamanism is not regulated, because somebody can take a course out of a book or a weekend workshop and hang out their shingle, you know, there's no consistency. There's no, and I hate to think of regulating shamanism, but, you know, if we're talking shamanic practitioners and we're talking medicine, we're going to have to be accountable in order to be able to interface with medicine. Because right now, if a doctor, even though they've worked with me long enough to know that I'm more accurate than an MRI, a heck of a lot cheaper and a lot less invasive, but if they just used me to diagnose with, they'd lose their license. They'd lose their license. They have to have, you know, I can give them more information, but they have to be backed up with the MRIs and the CAT scans and all the due course. And if we're going to come to a time when shamanism can be used mainstream by those that, you know, start with that, and then if you need more, go someplace else. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because it's non-invasive and it's not expensive. But we're going to have to be accountable. We're going to have regulation, as much as I hate to say it. And, you know, that's what's going to happen. And that takes us right back to the certification process.
So far in the 40 years you've been doing shamanism and the work that you're doing, what has been the pinnacle of your career so far?
Wow, there's been a lot of really fun times. I think probably when I did the work for one of my doctor friends, and he had a heart transplant that was failing, and right after we worked together, the trauma went away, and he you know, the rejection stopped. But within that whole session, I was able to see the operating room that he had been in, take the trauma out of the heart valve that was from the donor, and replace the doctor's energy into the heart valve, and it totally turned around this man's life. He was a dear friend of mine, and he was failing, and it was huge. And I saw the victim. I just saw a flash of what the victim saw just as he died, which was a semi jackknifing in front of him on an icy road. And of course, they don't know. You know, they're not allowed to know where the donation came from and this and that. But actually, some years later, the donors' folks contacted the doctor and explained to him that it was their son, and that he had died when a semi slid on ice and jackknifed and took out his car. So it was like, you know, you look at something like that and you go, okay, how does this? I know how it works, but it's like, it changes lives. I mean, the heart valve still had the trauma in it from the accident. The doctor was living that trauma, and we were able to change that, and the rejection stopped, and, you know, it validated things, and valve transplants usually last about 10 years, and he's 15 years and going strong.
The energy replacement technique that you used, can you explain it?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to paraphrase this horribly, but Einstein said, you know, energy, you know, everything is expresses according to frequency, basically. You match the frequency of the reality you want, and you can't help but get reality. This isn't philosophy, this is physics. And everything it does express according to frequency. And so if a person's body, there's an auric field around it, what we call esoterically, but basically it's just a toroidal field, an electromagnetic field around our body that's generated by all of our chakras, by all of our organs, by our intent, and that's at the quantum level. That's our body at the quantum level. And it has a very specific signature, a very specific frequency, that if you change that, you change the actual expression of the person. And the same thing goes true for, you know, any object. That frequency is very specific. It's like a fingerprint, but sometimes we disconnect from part of that frequency and lose some of our abilities, like in PTSD or this or that. And so the shaman's job is to find that disconnect, offer that frequency to their client through a ritual, and the client then can attune themselves back with it. Very much like tuning a piano. If you don't have the frequency, you can't align with it anymore. But if somebody can express it for you, then you can find it again and find your way back to your original design.
So, with all the shamanistic and intuitive healing that you've done, what has been, I mean, besides the doctor that you helped, who was your friend, what has been the, I don't want to say pinnacle, but what was the greatest achievement thus far for you?
I think the greatest achievement thus far for me was helping my mother die. Because I was able to be with her in spirit as well as in physicality, and I could watch her slowly, the body slowly fading, but this beautiful spirit's building above it. I could see that whole process. And because I know how to, what they call psychopump, which is help the dead to cross, I was able to help her gather her spirit from all of her objects, all of her things, all of her people, and cross in a good way. And that, we think of death as a bad thing.
Yeah, we
but
do.
That's kind of like attending a birth. It really is, and I've done both, of course. But I have to say that was the most powerful thing that I've been through.
Gwilda, stand by, dear. You and I have to take a few commercial breaks. We'll be right back. Exo Nation, this is the Exxon, and we're coming to you around the world on the all-new Starcom radio network. Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., my friend, the legendary Ed Till, is on Starcom. And then live music all weekend long. Superstation, and of course, Monday through Friday, starting at 8 p.m., the Exxon with yours truly. I'll be back on the other side of this short break as we take a pause for the cause and play some commercials here on the Exxon. If you'd like more information about WIYAKA, if you want to find out about this course, the school, shamanism, one easy, simple web address, findyourpathhome.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the Exxon. We'll be back on the other side of the short break. Don't go away.
Manifestation is driven by imagination, intent, and passion. In our culture, all three have been distorted and disabled by modern media and exploitation. Re-engage your imagination and your passion by entering into the world of paranormal romance. Kahir O'Donnell takes her readers on an exciting journey into the endless possibilities of loving, passionate, and mutually respectful male-female relationship. Her latest book, The Long Dark Night, features special ops adventure, a daring rescue, a psychic woman from the stars, and a special agent that will die to protect her. The Long Dark Night by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or Amazon.com. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Unwilling to be the government's deadly assassin, gifted psychic Kahara Mitchell went AWOL and ended up buried under rubble in the wake of a great tsunami. She regained consciousness far from Earth on the medical ship of a Daguerreonian intergalactic fleet. Has she been rescued or abducted by aliens? The Chalice of Carrie, Kahira O'Donnell's latest paranormal science fiction romance, is the passionate story of an Earthwoman and her destined mates, twin kings from another galaxy. Kahara uses her gifts fighting alongside Lords Rom and Ra in a war that will determine the destiny of galaxies. The Chalice of Carrie by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or at Amazon.com.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus that's now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
The Alien Cosmic Expo will be held in Brantford, Ontario, June 26, 27, 28, and will feature 24 internationally acclaimed experts and researchers of UFOs, crop circles, alien abductions, and much more in this 3-day 2015 summer Canadian event. Experts in the field of extraterrestrials and alien encounters, out-of-body experiences, past life regression, soul reading, psychic, and mediumship will all be presented with professionalism, integrity, and credibility, making the Alien Cosmic Expo the largest event of its kind in Canada for 2015. The exhibitor hall will feature a spectacular lineup of gifted mediums, psychics, astrologers, channelers, aura photography, healers, as well as books, DVDs, alternative health products, crystals, jewelry, and much more, completing the venue with something for everyone. For all information and to purchase your tickets for the Alien Cosmic Expo, go to www.aliencosmicexpo.com. That's www.aliencosmicexpo.com.
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Splenda, and you're listening to my dad, Rob McConnell, on the X-Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and worldwide on the Starcom radio network. If you'd like to give us a call, ask any questions you'd like to GWILDA about shamanism, her course, or if you just have a basic question about medical intuitives. Lines are open at 1-800-610-7035, extension 0. That's 1-800-610-7035, extension 0. And if you'd like to send us an email on air, the email address is onair@xzoneradiotv.com. GWILDA's website for the shamanic school is findyourpathhome.com. And GWILDA, it's always great talking to you. You've done so much in the short number of years that you've been on this planet. What do you think your mission is, your lifelong mission?
It's interesting, you know, as we go through life, we think it's this and we think it's that and we think it's the next thing. But really, I think that my mission is to be a bridge so that we can bring these tried and true, sound, ancient practices full circle into modern-day society to aid the times that we're going through, because we're going through huge upheaval and change. And this is a solid way to navigate through these unprecedented times. And if I can do that and ease people's way through that, then I really feel that I've fulfilled my mission.
Before we went to the break, you were telling us how you helped your mom to pass over, and you used the phrase, I believe, psychopump?
Yes, I believe that's Latin, and it's the term for the shamanic skill or procedure of helping the dead to cross. It's a profound skill. It's an advanced skill. I do teach it in my advanced blocks of my classes, and it's just something that I love to teach people that work in hospice. It's so, or even just people that are have people that are helping stewarding their parents to in their last years. It's an amazing process.
Why do you think in our society we fear death instead of welcome it?
Well, we've become so detached from our spiritual nature, spiritual as in esoteric. Because I've worked in this field for so long, of course I hate to see, friends and family die, whether they're my pets or whatever, but I never really lose them because I can always go where we can commune. So it's such a comfort to me, when I know somebody's totally crossed over, then they can come back and help out or give you advice or this or that. It's just living in the realm where you're not limited to the physical is just an amazing life, an amazing experience.
I often think that Hollywood has a lot to play with the way that we look at death, the negativity of the other side, demonic possession, hauntings, poltergeists, you name it. And when it comes to the reality of the other side, is there as much negativity that we believe there is, or is the other side a continuation of this side?
Well, it's a lot of the above. And if we go back to the thought about frequency, that at one frequency we're physical. At a little higher frequency, we're coming into the emotional realm. At a little higher frequency, we go into the mental. At a little higher, we go into the spiritual. Well, as a person gets ready to die, they no longer have enough frequency to maintain physical health. And at first, their frequencies bogged down by the death process. But then when they are letting go of the body, all that energy that's gone into keeping the body alive is freed up for the transition. However, fear is a low frequency. And through, religious spheres, maybe we feel like we haven't lived as good a life as we should. We don't think we're going to go up, so we decide to stay here, okay? And actually, you can stay at a frequency that doesn't allow you to cross the veil. That's why the natives call it dropping your robes. You have to drop your old patterns and your old beliefs and your old attachments and become into a higher frequency being in order to truly make that transition. Between here and there, and that's a continuum, are all the frequencies that we've lived in our lives and then fragmented out because of it. So when people start to cross, they're starting to climb this frequency ladder that they've climbed down, actually, probably during their lifetime, and relive all the painful moments in their life sometimes. And that's the Tibetan people call that the bardo, okay? And the Catholic people call it purgatory. You get stuck there if you let the fear take you out. And that's why having someone that can guide you is helpful. But sometimes so the bardo is someplace that's not here in this time and space, but not crossed over yet either. And it's, it doesn't sound like much fun to me. But some people choose not to cross at all, or they have a sudden death. They don't know they're dead. There was a movie out, The Sixth Sense, was pretty darn accurate. That, sometimes people have died under anesthesia or a sudden car accident or something, and they don't really know they're dead. And so they're kind of wandering around without their bodies, thinking they've got their bodies. And, time is distorted, and So we actually do have hauntings and ghosts and all that stuff in this reality, but outside of time and space and non-physical. Then as the frequency climbs, then they end up moving through the bardo or purgatory, and then if they just continue the motion and continue climbing in frequency, they can move into the more refined stages of spirit, which is what we call crossing over.
How does shamanism interact with other religious philosophies? For example, if someone is a Christian, if someone is a Catholic, if someone is another religious philosophy member, does this work with them if they want to take shamanistic courses and become a shamanism?
That's really a great question, Rob, because usually people think, well, I'm Christian, therefore this is, it's against my religion. Well, shamanism and religion aren't the same thing. Shamanism has been attached to the hip of the religion of the culture. So say, for instance, Celtic shamanism is attached to the hip to Catholicism, and Tibetan shamanism to Buddhism, and so on, Native American to Native American spirituality, and so on and so forth. But it's actually a totally separate practice. It's not a religion. It's an organized set of rituals to manage matter at the quantum level. So oftentimes they'll have a religious person, but then they'll have a medicine person. And the medicine person deals with the health of the frequency of the people. And the religious person or authority deals with the moral health of the people and guidance there. So my first teacher was he was old when I started working with him. He was in his 80s, and he was a medicine man. Been a medicine man from a long line of medicine men. The Native Americans weren't allowed to practice their religion. It was illegal for them to practice it until in I think 1988 or something.
You're kidding.
No, and he had been, he told me when he was a young boy, they hid him in a cave and then adopted him to a different family so that the government wouldn't know that he was from the shamanic line and put him in an orphanage. If they let him live at all, that's what he said to me. So, but what's interesting is he was also a very devout Christian. And he saw absolutely no conflict between the two, and I don't either. So I work with people from every religion, and the beauty of it is it blends with any of them. It doesn't violate them. There's a lot of misunderstandings about it that makes it look like it does, but the true practice, there's no conflict whatsoever.
So am I correct in understanding that the entire life cycle as we know it is based on frequency or vibrations?
Yes, it is. So if you think of DNA. Yes. DNA runs on light. Light comes in through the chakras. DNA, through the frequency of light, light's just a frequency, sets up a resonance. The resonance that's set up draws in from the quantum level the material needed to build the physical body.
All right,
that's how we incarnate physically.
All right, let's see. We've got somebody who'd like to join us here. Hi there. This is Rob McConnell of the X Zone. Hello. Whoops. I guess they're not there. All right. Back to my guest. Are you there, Kahira? Oh, look at that. I lost two people in one shot. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We'll get GWILDA back on. And hopefully find out more about this wonderful course that she's offering. It's entitled Find Your Path Home. It's about how you can become a shaman using shamanism. There you go. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. I'll be back on the other side of this short break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in beautiful Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
In the world today, most people want what is called the American dream. They want love, a family, a fancy car, and a nice home in a nice neighborhood. They also want a good job and money to travel to interesting places. Life is great because they have the American dream. But what happens to this dream if they hear they have a devastating illness like lung cancer? The doctor may tell them they need treatment immediately or they will be dead in 6 months. He tells them you need surgery and then you need chemotherapy to get better. When they get home, they think of many unanswered questions. They ask themselves, will I survive when so many of my friends with cancer have died? How will I deal with the pain, hair loss, nausea and vomiting, sore mouth and other side effects of chemotherapy and pain of surgery? Will I be able to keep on working? What will happen to my family? Then they look at the internet and wonder, is there a better way to deal with lung cancer and return to my American dream? Carl Helvey can tell you yes, there is a better way. Carl Helvey is a registered nurse with a doctorate in public health and a 38-year lung cancer survivor. Carl was given 6 months to live when diagnosed, and he refused chemotherapy and surgery. Carl used alternative interventions. Those not only helped him overcome lung cancer, but also to remain cancer-free and healthy for over the past 36 years since recovery. In his book, You Can Beat Cancer Using Alternative Integrative Interventions, Dr. Helvey will tell you his story of using all-natural treatments for lung cancer and continuing to work during his treatment. Free of pain and discomfort, Carl will also share how he remained cancer and disease-free since then without chronic illnesses or prescribed medications. His story is supplemented with chapters by Dr. Bernie Siegel, Dr. Francesco Contreras, and Dr. James Forsyth, alternative integrative physicians, and Dr. Kim Dalzell and Tanya Harder-Pierce, health professionals. All have successfully helped others overcome cancer. Research presented by the alternative physicians on their treatments for lung cancer demonstrate a significantly higher long-term survival rate for lung cancer clients than those obtained by conventional doctors. In addition, their clients were free of or had reduced side effects. You Can Beat Lung Cancer Using Alternative Integrative Interventions by Dr. Carl Helvey is now available at all major book outlets and at www.beatlungcancer.net. That's www.beatlungcancer.net. This information may help you return to the American dream.
Welcome back, everyone. Technology is great when it works right, isn't it, Craig? Uh-huh. Don't you just love it when the little leprechauns get into the electronics here in the X-Zone? I'm not sure if it's the leprechauns. I'm not sure if it's Mercury retrograde. I'm not sure if it isn't the little aliens that live on Uranus. You can take that one however you want, people. I don't know what made me say it, but I did. We have GWILDA back with us. GWILDA, I don't know what happened, but thanks very much for doing your shamanistic rituals to get you back here. GWILDA, are you there? What is going on? Oh, I see. There you go. Are you back with us now?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Huh. Geez. First of all, I love having you on the show. I love your energy. There's just something about you that is very natural, very open, and very honest. And the feeling I get is that you are very sincere when it comes to helping people. Have you always been like that?
You know, I really have. It's just a passion of mine, just to be able to ease people's way. This isn't an easy walk here on the planet, and
no, it's not.
For some reason, it's just been kind of my calling to find ways to ease the way so people can be all they can be.
What is your goal when you bring someone into your courses, your shamanic course?
My goal is personal empowerment. That's the first and foremost goal, because no matter how far they go through the program, or if they're going for a certification for a practitioner, or if they're just taking shamanism for practitioners of the healing arts, or if they're just taking it because they want to learn the skills, it is very empowering. And that's, again, why it's been almost eradicated off the planet. But personal empowerment is my first goal. My next goal is to help them truly understand that it's not hocus pocus, and it does work, and to give them the checks and balances to stay clean with it, because there's a fine line between shamanism and actual sorcery, and you don't want to cross it. It has a nasty backlash. So I'm very, very specific with my students about teaching them integrity with the practice and how to keep it clean and how to not violate other people's space and that sort of thing. So that's another real major goal for me, because there's a lot of that goes on unconsciously and unintentionally. So, ethics is really, really important. But then mostly to bring people to understand that the portion of reality that we're privy to here is such a small portion of all that we are. And that's so heartening, really, because this reality has its limitations, it has its heartache. But when you realize all you have to do is rise above it to a certain extent, worlds open up.
When you get students who come to you who are just learning for the very first time about shamanism, they've read it, they want to become part of it, they want to use shamanism for the betterment of humankind, they start with you at the very beginning. What kind of changes can you see as they progress towards the end of your course?
It is amazing. It's this process. It is a process. You have to go through a process. It works you, and it's absolutely life-changing. The human beings that walk out of the other side are like exceptional human beings if they never pick it up again, because they have moved through so many personal things and issues and whatnot in order to move through the course, that it's just so transformative. I can hardly speak about it.
From start to finish, what are we looking at in a time frame from the first time they start the course until the final day when they're certified?
That used to be a 2-year course, but what we've done now is change it into block format. So this way, the 2-year course has now been broken out into 6 blocks. They run between 5 and 7 days for each block. They get a completion certificate once they've turned in all their homework and fulfilled all the requirements for that block, and that gives them permission to move on to the next, because this information and the practice builds on itself. If a person, depending on how much their time frame, what kind of time they have to put into it, how much money they can spend at any given time, they can pace themselves by taking a block and then waiting till the next one comes maybe a second time around if they want to take a little more space and time. So the answer to that is it's up to the student ultimately.
But we're looking at an average of what, 2 years?
Yes, we hope to be able to hold all 6 blocks in 2 years. If, by the way, we get towards this end of the second year, and we don't have a full class for block 6, it might be postponed a little bit until we get one. But we hope to be able to make them, get them through. If somebody is really motivated to go through, we hope to be able to hold it once a quarter and get them through in 2 years.
GWILDA, we're coming to the end of this hour that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to join us with here in the X-Zone tonight. What is your message for the worldwide listening audience of the X-Zone on Starcom?
We are so much more than we've been led to believe. There's a conspiracy out there making us think that we're helpless victims, and we are not. We are divinations of the Creator, and we have the ability, if we step back into our power, we have the ability to manifest the lives we want, and to manifest the planet, and to aid the transition and the transmutation of humankind. That's what I'd like to tell people, is you are not helpless. You're not a victim of this. You can be so much more than what you've been taught.
GWILDA, give our listeners all the information they need to find out more about your course and how they can register for the upcoming course this fall.
You bet. So it's on the website, findyourpathhome.com, www.findyourpathhome.com. And on the front page, there's a little red schoolhouse. And you click on that one, that'll take you to all the information about the school. There's lots of other things on the front page you can play with, too, but that's how you get there. You can also experience private sessions long distance anywhere in the world if you wanted to get a flavor for what shamanic healing is like. And again, on the front page, you just click on the little picture, the box that speaks of long-distance shamanic healing. So they can find all the information there. They can register online. They can get our contact information to call and talk to us or email us with any questions they might have.
Gwilda, I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's always a great pleasure talking to you. Continued success, and I look forward to the next time you join us back here and share your shamanic wisdom with us here in the X Zone. Until that time, my friend, take care of yourself, and thank you so much.
Blessings to you, Rob.
Bye-bye, sweetie.
Bye-bye.
X Zone Nation, my guest this hour has been GWILDA WIYAKA. We've been talking to GWILDA about her shamanic course that is going to be starting this fall. For more information, visit her online at www.gwildawiyaka.com. That's her personal website. That's GWILDA.com. And for the shamanic course, it's findyourpathhome.com. That's findyourpathhome.com. Now, on the other side of this little extra that we do here when we go from one segment to the next, I've given my daughter a summer job. Her name is Bibi Fufi. She wanted to do something to help Dad in the X Zone, so we thought we'd try her out at reading astrology. It's going to be up to you, the members of the X Zone Nation, to see if Bibi keeps her job. Send us an email on air at xzoneradiotv.com and tell us if we should keep Bibi as the official astrology reader or find something else for her to do here in the X Zone. I'll be back on the other side with Peter Kling here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.